friends, thanks for joining me. Here's my cute top all cut up, ready to go. My companion Charlie. And I'm setting up the machine at a knit stitch. This one right here works really great. And the width is at a 3. Can't really change the length here. I'm starting out by sewing up the straps, and I have them going on a chain. It makes it really easy when I'm done sewing them. I'm just gonna cut them off, and you save some thread by doing that, see? And it's nice and stretchy. I use just a regular universal needle on the machine and then tested out a couple swatches to make sure that it worked okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn the loops here, and I'm using a loop turner. This is a really handy tool to have. I absolutely love it. I use it all the time. So you do that for all of your straps here. See, nice and stretchy. And I am decided to go with the bra straps on this. I probably should have used bigger rings and hooks, but these, I made it work, basically. I'm just using what I have. I picked a pattern that I had in my unfinished pile. Okay, so here, the back side, I sew straight down the back. It's fully lined, and then I kind of jump where the markings are on the fabric for the strap placement. And when I jump over, it makes it really easy to place the little loops where they're meant to go. So I just go ahead and put that in there, and then I line it up with the marking from the pattern. And for this part, I could have totally used just a straight stitch, but I wanted to see how the machine would handle going over little bumps. I did have to help it out a little bit, but it seemed to handle it just fine. You'll see that right here. Just help it out a little bit. There we go. Easy peasy. Clip your threads. Your machine can jam if you have too many threads going on. Yeah, it gets caught on the bobbin on the bottom. See, nice and stretchy. Okay, so that's the back piece, and I am doing this fully lined. This is the front, 2 fronts, and I'm just going to line them up right sides together, and I'm going to put a pin right there in the center front. And I like to put the pin like right nice and neat straight down in the center. That way I can get my V really nice when I sew it up, and you'll see how I do that here in just a second. So you're going to do that, and then the arm size there too. So this is all the same stitch. Yeah, and then when I get down to where the pin is, you'll see I'm just going to turn, which makes clipping that little piece really easy when you're finished sewing that there. See, there's my little mark. The other thing I ran into too is that if you don't leave your thread tails long enough, the thread keeps it'll slip off of your needle. So just make sure you do leave those threads long enough to accommodate the needle going up and down when you start. I like to put the needle down first and then sew, just to give me a little bit more control of the sewing. Yeah, there we go. See, very nice little V there. Bam, just clip it a little bit. Yeah, and then you're gonna go ahead and do the same. Just sew down the arm size. Bam, bam, don't sew over your needles or your pins. I've learned the hard way. Got one stuck in my plate. Yeah, definitely be careful. I really like this stitch. It's so nice and stretchy, and What's great about knit fabrics is they don't fray, so you don't have to worry too much about finishing anything. All right, straps. I'm going to show you 2 ways here on how to put your straps into those little holes. The first one takes a little bit more finesse. I just grab a little pin and kind of grab the strap in there, pull it out, and then just adjust it there. There you go. Ready to sew. And here I'm using a loop turner. I love this thing. It's so great. And just grab a little piece of it, pull it on through. This gives you a little bit more control. Okay, so then now you're just going to sew these down. And you could just use a straight stitch. Again, I was playing around making sure I could use the stretch stitch on this, and that's what I used. The back stitching was a little finicky, but it's stretchy fabric, so it tends to do that sometimes. Oh, make sure you clip the corners there too. It makes the straps look pretty seamless when you turn them around. It's really nice. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to take the back piece, and this back piece, to make this a little easier, you could totally baste this part, but I just sandwiched it right sides together with the front piece, and this is going to make for a really nice finish. It's just going to be fully lined, and it's just going to look so nice. Just, you can wait and see. And I'm going to do this here for both sides. If you baste it, you don't have to like get all finicky with it here, but I didn't feel like basting. Something I always regret doing after I start pinning. Yeah, basting's your friend. Okay, so I'm just doing the other side. I'm just kind of, again, I'm just sandwiching it in. And yeah. It's me looking for my ends there. I'm just putting all the ends, and I work my way through both ends and then just kind of line them up. There you go. Sorry that got a little out of frame, but there you go. You can see both sides there. Okay. Just sandwiched in between. Cool. Alright, sew the sides down. You could probably totally do a straight stitch on this too. But it handled this thickness pretty nicely. And you don't really need the back stitch. It's what I learned after using this stitch. It stays in place pretty good. But I still back stitched all my seams. Needle down. There we go. Bam, bam. Okay, so we're going to clip those corners again. Look at that. So pretty. Yep. Okay. So I am going to be... Yes, it's very pretty. I really like the way that turned out there. I just wanted to show it again. Okay, I'm going to tackle the straps now. So again, my rings and sliders could have been a little bit bigger, but I really like the way the gold looks with this color. pressing this fabric beforehand might have helped a little bit, but it's so stretchy, I just kind of pulled it in through there. I like to use the tape to hold my rings and sliders because those can get lost so easily. And here's the tricky part because you have all those little layers of fabric already in the, there we go. You can use a pin for this part too. Or just do, you know, a regular strap without the rings and sliders. Okay, cool. So now we're going to go ahead and sew that little tiny piece there. So we're just going to be tacking it down, and I used a straight stitch for one, and I didn't really like the way it looked, so I went with a zigzag at these settings right there, and it looked really cute. And if my thread matched a little bit better, you probably wouldn't even been able to see it. But you're basically just tacking it down here. There we go. And trim as you go. All right, so I decided to go with a binding for the bottom. So I quartered everything, quartered it, and then attached it to the, and I just went all the way around, matching the seams, just to make it really easy to sew on. And by quartering, you know, I made 4 equal parts and attached it, and then I did a little bit more pins there just to help it be nice and even. Okay, so I'm just going to sew that on, and I'm using my stretch stitch. I'm going to sew it all the way around. And I really love this stitch, the way it sews through all the knits here. Okay, so here we go. Look how stretchy and pretty that looks. All right, so we're going to do the binding. And I did sew that right side to wrong side. And I'm just folding it, trimming a little bit here. And then making sure it's nice and straight. All right, so then you just fold it over. Fold it over. And it is so forgiving. Just fold it over, pin it. And I'm going to pin this all the way around. And then we're going to go ahead and test some stitches to see how they all look on the binding. Binding could have been a little bit longer, but I made it work. Or wider, I should say. There, okay. So we're gonna test this one out. Okay, so I'm trying to line up the folded edge with the center of the presser foot. And I really like this stitch. I think if I had thread that matched a little bit better, it would have looked a little bit more professional, but it's totally cool. I like it the way it turned out here. So in the manual, it doesn't specify the name of the stitch. It's just listed as a decorative stitch, but it does kind of look like an overcast stitch. But it has like a line of what looks like straight stitching, zigzag, and then straight stitching on the other end, which to me looks kind of more of a mock cover stitch with the zigzag in the middle. But I like it. I think it looks nice. Can have some fun with that one. Okay, so next I wanted to do a straight stitch. And I went for the longest setting, longest length. And you do kind of I kind of let the feed dogs pull the fabric a little bit, so it gives it a little bit of stretch, so that those stitches don't pop on you. But for binding, it is one of my favorites. Okay, so next I'm going to switch to a zigzag. And here we go. I like this one too. It's a very nice zigzag. I think I'm liking the straight stitch better. The only one I didn't try was a multi-step zigzag. That would have been cool too. I mean, you can really use any of these, but these are just some of my favorites. And then I just played with the zigzag size a little bit. Made it a little bit more narrow. So try to kind of find a sweet spot for it. I didn't like it once it got a little too small, but you'll see what they all look like in just a second. There we go. Trim, trim, trim. If I had pressed the binding, it would have been a little bit straighter. But I really wanted to sew something, so there we go. Looks good. It's all done. I'm just going to give it a quick press. And there it is. Cute little top. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.